Okay, so we are
Run.
we're on.
Let's go. Let's do
We're
it.
we're doing this live,
Let's do it.
raw,
Real
uncut,
raw.
no editing.
No nothing. Just pure. Just just on it, in it, raw.
All right, so let's start.
WCW. Raw.
Let's start.
Real raw.
All right.
Let's talk about raw.
All right. So no condoms.
What does it mean to be raw?
um
Is it worth it?
wait, you just put him down. Okay, so we are raw. This is a
Raw.
porn.
We're live. We're uncut.
Just audio. Just audio sex sounds.
Audio, baby.
Um,
You're listening to Raw Sex Sounds. Hey! Ooh, I'm about to go!
so
Just ignore him.
yeah. Um, because there's no editing here, so my dog, of course, is making all the
Our
noises
dog.
that he can make. And the reason that there is no editing on this podcast is because we're literally a couple hours from
We procrastinated.
I procrastinated.
Yeah, I'm trying to take some accountability with you, even though this is not my fault, but
It's okay. It's my fault.
it's okay. I was just trying to help out. Let's talk about procrastination.
I actually was gonna mention that
You took too long, you're procrastinating.
you were singing about Raw.
Raw procrastination.
So,
The
yes,
pro-
let's talk about procrastination.
you are part of the procrastination.
Yeah, I'm part of a problem.
You're
I'm a committee of procrastinators.
the procrastination.
The procrastinating committee.
The nation of procrastinators.
Anyway, why do you think people procrastinate? Because I've said this on another episode before, and it has to do with like self-esteem issues.
I think it's more
Um,
than that. I think it's like
well, the reason I was saying,
compound thing.
well, it probably is, but the reason I think I was saying it in another episode was like for people that submit like work really late or like they procrastinate on doing their homework or turning in an essay or whatever paper, um, they do it because they get to say at the end of it like, oh well, it wasn't even my best work, I waited till the last minute to do it, because it makes them feel better.
That's true. There's less of of a commitment to the work they've done.
Yeah, it's also less of like, oh well, I didn't even try, so it's fine. Like, you get to say like it wasn't your best, so it's fine
That's
that you
true.
failed, or
It
it's
lightens the
fine.
blow if you do fuck up,
Yeah. So
and it
why?
feels even better when you succeed.
Yeah.
And you're like, I stood up all night and did it last night.
And for me, I've always been a procrastinator, probably for some of those self-esteem reasons, but also just because when I do turn things in or submit things, like it's still good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I value my time a lot.
Yeah.
So when I like am forced to do something that's not like me willing to do it, that's when I wait till the last minute to do things. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's true.
What are you looking up? I saw you on your phone. This is raw, baby.
This is real raw. Raw. I was looking up something that I was reading a
About
while back.
procrastination.
Yeah, about how procrastination and ADHD have a link.
Are you saying I have ADHD like my therapist told me?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have ADHD too because the
He said if I
more
have ADHD, it's just mild, so it's not that serious.
mine is definitely way worse than yours.
Yeah.
Um, because procrastination is an avoidance behavior.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because me and Jasmine were just talking about Was it attachment
Yeah, about attachments.
and how she was basically
Attachment
diagnosed?
styles.
She was diagnosed to me and saying that I have avoidant
Avoidant
attachment.
attachment style, yeah.
Yeah,
Which could possibly be a
correlation of
correlated.
something.
I wouldn't say it's like, oh, thank God he went to his bed.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I would say it's correlated in some way. Like I know myself personally when I read this stuff, it definitely resonates with like my experience with procrastination. And I don't know if I have ADHD for sure because I've never been diagnosed, but I've had like, like when I was a kid and stuff, I had therapists and stuff try to tell my family, and they're just like,
That you had ADHD.
yeah, they try to tell them like I had ADHD and stuff, and like, you know, Mexican parents just don't believe,
Yeah.
like too proud.
Pride,
Yeah, it's
yes.
like a pride thing because they think they're telling them like there's
Something's
something
wrong
wrong with your
with your
kid,
kid and
and
you
there was definitely
because
something
you made
wrong.
the kid.
Yeah, they're like you guys fucked up.
Yeah.
Y'all got rocks in your fucking
Got rocks in your brain.
rocks in your brain. You got rocks in your fucking your dick and your pussy.
Your shorts.
You got rocks in your pants.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I think that procrastination is definitely not only just like related to ADHD. Obviously, it's something that a lot of people do and experience. But I think it's definitely a good sign of like ADHD like isms. Like
Mhm.
it's like like an inability to like regulate your emotions, right?
Mhm.
And so you can't just like settle yourself into like um um like a groove to just start working and just like, okay, I'm gonna work on this project that's due in 2 weeks. I'm gonna work on it every night for 20 minutes. Like regular people can just do that.
That's never been the case for me.
I've never been
I've
able to
never
do
done
that.
that.
I
Like,
can never
yeah, I
do
know
that.
teachers have told me like, you just do one thing at a time.
Yeah, it sounds fake.
I'm like, I do it
Who the fuck
all the
does that?
same day.
And then you hear people who do it, and you're like, you're fucking weird. Like, no wonder you're not funny or cool, or
No wonder nobody likes you.
no wonder you're a fucking loser.
Yeah.
No, it. I don't understand how people can do that because it takes that pressure for me to get stuff done too. Like, I need it to be done yesterday.
Yeah, I'm the person that submits things at 11:59,
Yeah. Or 12 and be like, I just submitted. I'm sorry. I hope it wasn't too late. I see that shit all the time where or you procrastinate to the point where you're like, fuck, I guess I can't do it now. I can't submit it.
No, that's actually why I think you and I are different with if we do have ADHD, which I'm not accepting because
Mine
I
is
don't
like
think I do. But
paralyzing.
if we do, we're a little different on this spectrum because for me, I procrastinate to the point where it's not so severe, but it's still pretty bad. But I always manage to get things done and I'll always submit something.
No, yeah, I
And it's not
definitely.
going to be shit either. I'm not going to submit shit.
I won't submit shit either. My shit will be fucking flying colors
Like, I'll
if it
always
gets done.
submit something that's good enough.
Yeah.
And it's never been the case where I've never been able to submit anything because it's always the thing. And that's
Never. Well, I
why
didn't say I can
that
never submit anything.
that's why like I keep this pattern or habit that I have of being a master of procrastination because I always manage to get it done.
So you justify the
Yes.
outcome,
Which
even
is not
though,
good because I get so stressed out like
yeah, it's
trying to
actually really
submit everything
annoying.
and like I'm just saying like this has always been a problem of mine throughout my whole life.
I think we both know a lot of people that suffer from the same issue of procrastination. There's probably a common thread, some sort of like social thread, in how like people who
Yeah.
procrastinate and have ADHD like attract other people that are
Similar.
similar with ADHD and procrastination and shit. Because I know so many people. Either it's so fucking common, and it's just like that's why
A
we experience it,
norm,
a
yeah.
norm, or it just has to do with some sort of like there's some sort of like social phenomenon happening where like people that are all like I don't know, not suffering. I wouldn't say we're suffering, but in a way we are kind of suffering from it because it does fuck up a lot of shit sometimes.
Right. And then I think a portion also has to do with time management. You and I are both bad at time management. Like you suffer from it more than I do, but I think that obviously has
Well, that's a that's a lot. There's a lot of things to factor into that.
Well,
like
there's a lot
time
of things
management.
to factor into procrastination. I'm just explaining time management being one of them.
Yeah, for sure. And we
And
both experience issues with that. You're right.
yeah, so I think that has to do with, I just feel like my time is valuable.
Everyone's time is valuable, not just yours.
I know, but mine is more
You
valuable.
said it like my. I feel like my time. The way you said it was very like pretentious. Like my time.
Well, I mean, I think everyone should feel that their time is more valuable than anything.
I guess you're right. Everyone
But
should.
for me, like, the same thing even applies to like work. Like, I don't want to be the person that's at work 5, 10 minutes early. Like,
Or fucking 30 minutes
that's
after for
not time
nothing.
I'm getting paid for.
Yeah, especially when you work somewhere where you know that type of effort goes unnoticed and unrewarded.
Yeah.
And then like people will be like, you should
No,
have just do
for
this.
me, it's just like if I'm not getting paid for that time, I'm not going to be there.
Yeah,
I'd rather be in my car looking at the fucking sky. Like
trying to sleep
that
for five
that's
minutes.
still my time. Like
My time.
I can't do it. So that's why I'm saying like I have a problem with that because I maybe think my time is too valuable sometimes where I'm like I didn't want to do this, so I'm gonna wait till the last minute to take care of all of it so that way it's not taking up all of my time.
But then it ends up
But it
taking
does.
it does because then it's like inevitably going to take
I
more of
admit
your
it.
time.
I have a problem. I can acknowledge that.
Yeah, and then it'll
I'm
take away from other things that you want to do or you were planning
I'm
to
not the
do.
smartest person.
Okay.
So
Yeah, me neither. Trying my best.
there's just some people that are really good with time management. So they'll be like, "Yeah, I put an hour a day, and now I'm done with
There's
my
people
assignment, my project,
there's
whatever."
people that are impeccable with their time management. They're like to the minute. And like my last manager, my last job, Christian, he was impeccable with time management.
Hmm.
It was annoying. He'd be like, "Yeah, I planned an itinerary this weekend. I'm going to Disney World with my family,"
Hmm.
and he would like show us the schedule, and he's like, "At 5:15, we're gonna wake up. 5:30, we're gonna be out the door." Like what? Like 5:45, we're eating breakfast. 6:30 to 6:45, we get a little tram, and we head over to the like what? Like he had everything timed out by the minute, like all fucking day.
Yeah,
I can't do that shit. I need it to be like
you absolutely cannot do that shit.
I can't do it, and when I try to do it, I can't. Can't. I just like it's physically impossible for me to do that reliably every time.
Yeah, sometimes it is a little frustrating because you're actually really bad.
Okay,
Yes, this is actually an
let's talk about how
intervention.
bad you
This is an
are.
intervention podcast, babe.
This actually the point of this was because you procrastinated today, so I liked how you turned it around on me. That's very
Like you have the
very
problem.
typical. Yeah,
That's a procrastinator's.
that's a procrastinator's tool right there. You
Yeah, it's
turned it
like
around.
flipping it
You
around.
flipped the
It
fucking
was actually
script.
not my fault. It
It was
was
actually your fault that that's why it's my fault.
you're the one that wanted to get tacos with my parents.
What the hell?
I'm just
Okay,
kidding.
just so you guys know, she was supposed to get those tacos a long time ago, and so was I. Um,
But anyway, so let's keep talking
anyways, yeah,
about procrastination. Like,
we're procrastinating on getting to the point.
yes,
Um, I think that I think we're okay. I think we've already talked enough about like
a
what
procrastinator looks like.
no, we can go on all day about that. I think it's like I don't want to focus too much on like yeah I've done this, I've done that, and I really don't do this, and like we just talking about our experience with it and talk more about like how we deal with it probably.
Yeah.
That's probably more important because I think like I was saying like a lot of people experience it and they're trying to cope with it on the day to day
Hmm.
and try to survive and do and just be an adult, you know, and being an
Yeah.
adult and procrastinating is a lot worse than when you're a child or a teenager
True.
because the consequences are, you know, they're long lasting and they can be, but in terms of accountability, like when you're a kid or you're a teenager, it's like your parents are supposed to be paying attention and like helping instill and like teach you the right tools and like ways to get through and cope with that shit.
Right.
And if they don't notice or they don't see or they don't believe
Or
or
maybe they
whatever,
don't have those tools
or maybe they have
themselves.
it. Maybe
Yeah.
they're also, you get it from them. I know I for sure get that shit from my parents. They both fucking procrastinate. Well, you know what? Not both. That's not true. My dad's actually like really crazy with his time management. Well, he wakes up like at 4 a.m. My mom is a procrastinator. She's
Mm,
also very similar. We're very similar. But I think like it's important to maybe let's talk about like how we deal with it, like how we cope with our procrastination. Because obviously we procrastinate, but we clearly haven't let it ruin our lives, right? Because like
we're
we're
alive.
alive and we have jobs and like we pay our bills and stuff and
That's enough.
we can afford to do things we want to do and we're not like fucking, you know.
Okay. So, how do you manage?
I wasn't
What,
ask you.
what are some things that help you?
I was just about to ask you.
I just turn this shit around.
You're like,
Because
okay, well,
that's
how
a
do you do it?
procrastinator because I haven't thought
You
of
don't
what
want to
I do.
answer.
Yeah, because I'm still thinking to the last minute.
You guys are hearing a class act right here.
Master procrastinator.
Yeah, the master procrastinator. Um, fuck, I don't. How do I cope with it? I mean, I'm still learning like every year how to like how to keep myself like disciplined and not give in. Like I realized that okay, I can't completely cut out procrastination. It's not realistic or setting myself up for success to be like I'm never gonna procrastinate again. I'm done. Like it's such an unrealistic mindset unless you're like on Adderall every day, and I don't want to be in fucking speed every day, like
Yeah,
methed out. Because I know
that's not
people
right.
that do take Adderall, and I used to take Adderall for a little bit, and it was not fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like it fucks up your sleep schedule. It makes you really weird, and like people are just like are like irritated by you because you're just like, ugh,
You're all on edge
you're
and
on
just like
edge, and yeah, and time is moving so fast. And you're just like, I gotta get this, I gotta get that, and I gotta do this, and I gotta still got time to do this.
your
And I
teeth are
gotta...
chattering.
Yeah, like I remember the first time I tried it, I stood up for like 5 nights in a row, and I slept maybe like it's exaggerating. Five, it wasn't 5 nights, but I was only sleeping like an hour or two every day
Mm,
when I first tried it. And I remember I stood up and I was like, I'm gonna make like 20 beats tonight. And
yeah.
I stood up and I made like 20 beats that night.
Yeah.
And like I got done whatever I said I was gonna get done, but then it crashed after a certain point, and I was like, this I can't. Who the
You
fuck?
know, it's a little sick because I think I out of some sick fucked up way I feel about it, but like you know that adrenaline you get when you're not sure if you're gonna be able to submit,
And then you do, and you're
and
like,
then you do, and you're
ooh,
like,
I
"Fuck, I'm
did
so
it!
fucking
Celebrate!
high." I'm just like, I don't even know what to do right
Yeah, I
now.
totally
Like,
get that. I like that
I
too. I like
just
that
came.
feeling. Like, oh, I like that feeling of when you're about to bust. When you're like, when
You're just like, "Fuck."
you're like, I almost didn't get it done,
Yeah.
and I turned it in, and no one knows that I waited to the last minute. We're
Well,
talking about like schoolwork, though. I feel like
yeah, but even like
let's talk about
even
serious
like
shit.
work, like
Work, bills.
there are things, and I guess I haven't really thought of it right now because I'm procrastinating thinking about it,
You're like trying not to think about the other serious
but
shit.
like work, I'm like, oh shit, I had to do this for work, and I wait till the last minute, and like, yeah, nobody knows, and you're just like, here it is.
This is actually a good. Here's a good transition. Okay, so work. If I allow procrastination,
Work.
if I let it all work, if I let the procrastination infiltrate my work life, I won't have a job.
Yeah, you're
I'm
fucked.
fucked because it already gets in the way of like my, showing up on time, things like that.
Right. So how do you manage?
So, because I've been reading more about ADHD and procrastination, I've learned something
Hmm.
that helps me that I was kind of already doing at this, especially at this new job. But basically, because like my attention can only be focused on on one thing at a time for so long.
Hmm.
Like the type of work I do is like, I have like a number of tasks I have to do for like a a week, or for a day. It depends on how I allocate the time. So I can decide like, oh, this thing's gonna take an hour or 2 hours to do. I know I'm not gonna do it right now. I can save this for like tomorrow, and I can dedicate my time to like five different smaller tasks right now that I can get done, and maybe I'll have like the like adrenaline and like the dopamine after getting those things done to be like, okay, now I'll tackle this bigger task.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I do it now. Like instead of being like I'm just gonna do all the like if I didn't have an issue with it, I would just do all like the really like strenuous and like time consuming tasks
Yeah.
first. But instead I'm like, let me tackle a few things at first that seem,
Little
yeah,
things
that are like
to start you
to
off,
start
to
off,
get you
yeah, to
going.
warm me up.
Yeah.
And then I can be like, okay, now I'm gonna do this like crazy
It's
networking
funny
thing I have to
because
do or
like
whatever.
I can say I do that with like food. Um,
Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Okay, so you know how you love to eat my bites, and I have collected already
I like to eat your bits.
all the best for then. Like if there's a lot of veggies, I'll always eat the veggies.
You like to
If
mix it all up too.
Yeah, I mix everything
I
up.
eat one thing at a
Okay, so
time.
here's my analogy. It's a Caesar salad.
Okay.
I eat all the lettuce parts with the water crusts in it, like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just a lot more water. Um, and I save all the
The leafy.
croutons, the Parmesan
Ooh.
cheese, the
Chicken.
chicken.
Sus.
I like put it in a
The
little corner and I
dressing.
just like save it there and I'm just like still eating this salad and I'm like, "Oh, I hate all this salad. It's so boring." But I can't
You don't
wait.
even like the salad
I
part.
can't wait till I get to the chicken crouton part.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm eating the salad, the lettuce, and that's the hardest part. And then I get to the crouton and the chicken. That's the easiest part because it's the most flavorful. It's the tastiest.
It's the
So for
easiest part.
me, I'm relating that to what you're saying about work because when I do things, I like to do things the hardest part first, and then I just like kind of am able to chill like later and get to the do the easy things at the end.
So you would rather do the more difficult task
Yes.
first, because then you can, then it's not such an issue on
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
and procrastination if you only have like easy
Yes,
menial
and
shit
this
to
is
do.
only when I'm not like procrastinating really. It's more just like getting things done.
Well, we're talking about how we cope with procrastination, so
I can
that's
still
actually a
apply with
bad
still
example.
work ethic.
All right, well, we're not talking about work ethic. We're talking about how you cope with procrastination. You're procrastinating
Work
right now.
ethic still applies to procrastination. I'm just saying because you can admit like I am a little weird in some ways where like
How do you cope with
I managed to
procrastination at
get
work?
shit done and it's like annoying, but
You're dodging the main topic
I'm
here. It's actually
procrastinating.
really funny.
How do I get how
How
do
do
I
you deal
cope
with
with
it?
it?
How do
Well,
you
you
let it?
know me, like a lot of the
They
things
don't
that
know.
a lot of
The
habits
peeps.
that I do, like I list things. That's one way of like avoiding full procrastination.
Yeah, you do. You create a list for
I create a
accountability.
lot of lists and I write things down in my notes, like in my
Hmm.
phone. I like set times for like appointments for things that
Hmm.
I need to do and take care of by this day. And I kind of just like ease into things in that way. Like on my calendar, I'll be like, I mean, I even do this with time, which is why like all our clocks are like 15, 20 minutes ahead.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, what? Every
You're
there's
like, what time is it?
none of the clocks are on
You're like,
time in
what
our
day
house.
is it?
What? Why is this for next week?
Because I try to fool myself when I look at things from a glance. I'm like, fuck, this shit's due right then and there. But I got my back and it's actually not.
You're like, past me has future me's back.
I mean, like, you know how it's kind of similar to, and I know I'm all over the place right now, but like how we were talking about, like, before you get high, like you'll hide snacks or like you'll buy snacks for yourself.
Oh yeah, and you're like, this is for when I'm stoned later
Yeah, and then like
to gorge on.
and then like you're high and you're like, fuck, I wish I had snacks.
You're like,
And then you're like,
oh,
I got
I
me.
got me.
Yeah,
You set yourself up for
for
success, not
success.
for failure.
Yes. So that's like one of my tactics and like what I do is buying snacks.
I eat snacks. I snack my way through it.
um
So
just
you
you
do
just
list making. You make lists
I make lists.
for accountability.
I put my clocks ahead. I
Yes.
like put
You
my due
plan.
dates in my calendar for ahead of when things should be due. Um, and like for example, last year I had to owe the IRS money. They were after my ass for tax
Yeah,
evasion,
sort topic.
and I'm just kidding. But
Shamelessly sniped it.
I did have to owe money, and there was a deadline, and I was like trying to do like a payment plan kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing, but I had a deadline. And
Yes.
so in my phone calendar, I was like, okay, I'm going to pay this off before the deadline. I just need to like make up an earlier deadline than what's actually when it's actually due.
Yeah, if not, you'll go past it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. I had to do the same
Or
shit too.
or if not, I'll wait till the day of that it's due, and then like some shit will happen and then I won't be able to
Yeah,
pay, you
because then
know?
you didn't plan for the unpredictable shit.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
make up an earlier due
And
date.
when you procrastinate, let's add this in. When you procrastinate, if you do keep doing things and keep waiting to the last minute to do things,
Yeah.
because you procrastinate in other parts of your life, the chances of unpredictable shit happening increases.
Right.
Because you're like, oh, I procrastinated at some other fucking aspect of my life,
Yeah.
and now that's actually I have to do this now, and now this thing that I was actually supposed to get done is now not only did I procrastinate on this, but now there's an actual thing obstructing that thing getting done.
Right.
So it
Yeah, so
definitely
the
compounds into a big
to bigger
fucking problems.
problems.
Yeah.
So those are some of like my strategies of how I try to deal or avoid with procrastination. Definitely lists is like my thing that I
Lists, yeah.
it's my strength of it keeps me afloat.
List making is pretty good. I when I do make lists, I realize that they don't I don't always use them when I
Mm,
make them, but when I plan how to utilize them, that they do help me.
yeah.
Like if I put it somewhere I'm not going to remember, or I make the list like for something that's not like immediately in my like focus,
Hmm.
then it doesn't help. But if it's something like at work I do that, I'll be like, "Oh, I have these like, 6 users at work that need me to go check something with like their network security or whatever."
Right.
I'd be like, "Oh, they all need the same exact thing done.
Mm,
Here's 6 people right here. I can have them on a list." And I'm like, "Okay, well, let me just write them down and keep it right in front of me
right.
and do something related to that. That way, when I'm done, I'm like, okay, now I'm warmed
You
up.
know what to get into.
I know what to get into, and I'm like, or if I get this done, that's a good chunk of like the day already. I can do that, and I'm good. If I didn't write it down, I'd probably be like doing something else or getting another
Yeah,
task done,
even like even if it's not a list and I just like write things down, just like note taking
like
or like
setting
jotting
intentions, right?
things down, yeah, that actually still helps me. Like I said, I put like random like little notes and just like words in my notes for
Yeah.
in my phone,
Sometimes you look back and you're like,
and
what
I
the
look
fuck is
back and
this
I go,
about?
okay, this is what I'm supposed to do, and I just like that's how I take care of shit.
I had to stop doing that because then I would forget to open up my notes.
I always open up my notes. It's embarrassing and like I write so many stupid things down that I would be mortified if you ever read them.
There's embarrassing fucking things in people's notes, and I know myself personally, like
I'm so embarrassed by my
I
notes.
use my notes every fucking day,
I
but
write
I
about
forget to
like
open the
social
list.
justice, and it's so like,
You write social
yeah,
justice? What
like
do you mean?
no, I said I write about social
Oh, you
justice.
write about
Yeah, like how
social
I
justice.
feel and just like things
I
like that.
feel like
It's
the
a little corny, so that's why it's so embarrassing.
I feel like the term social justice is corny. I feel like there's a better term to describe what you're writing about.
Well, I
But
mean, like
you,
issues that involve like social inequalities. I don't, does
yeah,
that sound better to you?
yeah,
Because
because
everything's corny for you.
wow, fucking hater. I'm just saying that someone could hear you say social justice and be like,
That's corny.
no, not corny. They'd be like, it just sound like social justice. What people associate that term with now when they hear it is more like keyboard warrior type
Social war,
shit.
yeah.
Like, but
Well, I don't give a fuck.
you're like actually like writing about
How I feel.
issues and like
Yeah.
solutions you have in
Thoughts.
mind and the thoughts and opinions on it.
Yeah. I
I'm
don't really
just
care what
elaborating on.
another person's thinking and how I define social justice, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying?
I do.
I'm saying like
Hater. I'm just
What the hell? I'm just saying
kidding.
that what you're writing about is not like
It
as
just
trivial
embarrass
as
it
it might
just
sound.
embarrasses me because I'm just like just that what I'm writing is like free all my people, you know? No, I'm just
For all
kidding.
my people.
Um,
Yes, all the people in the pinta.
yes. So I'm just like, oh my God, if someone were to read this when I die, it's gonna be so embarrassing.
Yeah, if they read my notes.
Do you ever think like when you die, if someone reads your notes?
I imagine you reading my notes at some point if
You
I
know, I
die.
imagine you reading my notes too, because
And
we have each
sometimes
other's
I leave things.
passwords.
Sometimes I leave things in there. I'm like, it's just in case I die, she could see this part here. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I think I wrote
she'll
something
laugh.
for you too.
I leave little things just in
She's
case.
like, this is for you.
Just like
In
little notes for you, just in case you
case
have
we
to read.
die.
Yeah, in case you have to read my fucking notes. I have my notes from like 2013 still.
Yeah,
Like,
2013's.
yeah, like crazy shit that like sometimes I look back and I read it, I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
What was I
I what was I
thinking?
thinking? Like, I can't believe I felt that way. Like, can't believe that this is how I was viewing myself in the world and like things and people around me. And then I'll just laugh at myself now because I'm like,
Yeah. What do you think? Do you know anything off the top of your head that's like the most embarrassing thing that you can think of right now that's in there?
I mean, it's very personal stuff because it's not like haha funny stuff. It's like stuff where like I was like at my worst,
Oh shit.
you know. So it's like not that's probably the most embarrassing to me is like for someone to read something you wrote when you were like feeling really fucking
Oh
low.
yeah, no, I have shit though where I'm like really sad and I just like
Yeah,
write it in my notes and
and
it's
you're just
like
venting and you're just like trying to just get out whatever you feel so you could read it and see if is this what it really what like
this.
is this it? Am I
You
done?
you know it's like the equivalent of that when you look at yourself in the mirror and you're crying.
The fuck, I've never done that
I've done
shit.
that
Like
before. It's made me cry even more.
I've
I
been
go, "Oh my
upset.
God, you pobrecita, you're just
Oh,
crying."
I've never like done that like on purpose. I've been like I don't know, some shit happens and it's fucking sad and tragic and you're crying and you gotta use the restroom. You're like washing your
You
hands
look at yourself.
and you look yourself. You're like, fuck, like I
I'm
look
such a
fucked up.
piece of shit. I look so sad. You know what's the saddest thing to look at? Yourself sad. I'm just kidding.
Damn,
Damn what?
damn,
Damn.
that's deep. It
You're
was like the saddest thing to look at. Yourself sad. Yeah, yeah,
um,
that shit's not cool.
yeah, so it is a little corny to look back into notes, but anyway, we're talking about procrastination in our notes or like
Just
our
list making
strategies
and
in notes.
strategies. Um, so you make lists and do all this stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
you try to set. I try to do the alarm thing. I try to set alarms for myself.
You do that. I don't do that.
Yeah, I'm saying I do. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I
no,
try to
I'm
do.
saying like it's never worked for me. I hate
Yeah,
alarms.
I
The
need
only
them.
alarm I want to hear is in the morning, and that's not even, I don't even want to hear them.
I need them because they create enough anxiety for me to do stuff.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Like
Yeah, it creates a lot of anxiety for me, so I'm just like, I can't.
I need the anxiety, or else I can't do it.
Yeah.
Like if I'm too comfortable, then I can't get it done. And I think that like sometimes it's less about the amount of time that it's going to take and more about how enjoying
Mhm.
how much I'm going to enjoy what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And if it's something that's like going to give me zero enjoyment, then it's not going to get done, right?
Yeah.
And that's like a huge ADHD thing, right?
I'm looking at one of my notes, like an old note that I have, it has nothing to do with this.
Okay, what is
It says, "Dear hiring manager, after reviewing your posting on
it?
Craigslist,
What?
I'm submitting a copy of my resume in response
What
to
year is this from?
2015.
2000?
2015. I didn't even have a phone in 2000.
How'd you get that note? It was on your laptop probably, huh?
Probably. Anyway, that's
I'm
hilarious.
down to read it. I'm down to read a
It
2000.
says I'm a fast learner and very interested in pursuing this position with your company. I'm proficient in using
Oh my
PCs.
gosh.
Um, Weird.
Interesting.
You know what the weirdest part of this? It says sincerely Juan Gonzalez.
Who?
I don't know who that is.
That's weird as fuck.
I don't know if I stole this off of like Google or something. And I was maybe going to use it for myself.
Possibly you're gonna like format it
I
as
also
a
have a note that
template.
says waiting for tonight. Whoa.
Waiting for tonight.
It's
Whoa.
from August 14th, 2015.
Damn, I have a lot of shit on here from 2015, 2014. I'm not gonna read any of these fucking notes, but
Yeah. Um, you should read something though.
I don't want
I put this talents. I am the queen of sandwiches and I can suck my own
to.
nipples.
What? That you can do. Um,
Still can do
I've seen
that.
you do that. Um, what the hell?
That's from 2017.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even want to read any of this shit. I'm just cringing reading my own writing.
Yeah, it's really cringe. This is actually really gross. And you don't want to hear it, but I'll say it.
What?
Um, the crispy stuff in your belly button could be a nice substitute for chips.
What the fuck?
Yeah, 'cause my belly
Interesting.
button be smelling real weird.
I have a old. I'm not gonna talk about this. I'll talk to you about this offline.
Okay, well, why do you keep avoiding? Are you just do it?
I'm gonna talk about this
Just do
offline.
it.
I'm gonna talk about it
You can
offline.
do it.
I'm gonna talk about it.
All right.
um. Yeah. That's. Anyways.
You're not gonna read any of your
I'm
notes.
not gonna
You
read
just
any of
backed
my
out.
notes. I backed out. I'm pushing out on the notes.
Okay.
They're just like really fucking embarrassing. Like, I think anybody that's listening to this, if you were to just randomly pick a note and read it out
Yeah, it'd be
loud,
embarrassing.
you'd be like, "Oh fuck, this is
I
not.
mean, I'm reading embarrassing shit
This
too,
is
but
not it." Oh damn, I have really funny shit in here too that
okay,
doesn't make
so
any
this is
sense.
something I think I thought I was writing in like deep. It says there's no such thing as fate. There's such thing as people that have similar life experiences and interests, and that's how people find each other and feel attracted to one another. You're not destined to meet anyone. Is that crazy?
That's
Like, what
what
the
the
fuck was I
fuck?
high?
Weird.
Weird. And I put this at the end. This is what I think at this moment. My mind will change tomorrow. I think I was high for
You must
sure.
have been high or some shit. You were on some sick shit.
Um,
I have a lot of stuff on here that's okay. Well, first of all, most of these notes are lyrics for
mhm.
songs.
Mhm.
So
Just say something.
that's also why it's kind of like difficult to just find something in here. Um, yeah, you know, something random I have in here. Okay, I have the name
Yeah.
of my childhood therapist.
Okay.
I just wrote it down. I'm not gonna say her name.
Say it.
I'm not
Put her
gonna
on
say her
blast.
name. I'm gonna put her on blast on the podcast. But I was when I moved out of my like my parents' house, like when they had divorced and stuff in like
Mhm.
2017.
Mhm.
I had to like clean all this shit out, and I like found a box of stuff when I was a kid, and then I had a card that like she had written me, and I was like, oh shit, that was her name.
Why do you think you kept her name though?
I had kept it because I had wanted to reach out at some point.
Did you like her?
No, it had nothing to do with attraction. Then
No, I mean like did you like her as a therapist?
I did like her as a therapist, and I kind of like a part of me wanted to reach out and be like, you try to tell my parents like I had some shit going
I
on with
had
me, and they
issues.
didn't really listen.
Yeah.
And I wanted to like reach out and kind of thank her and
Oh, that's
just
sweet.
let her know that what she did actually like stood with me. Like
Yeah.
you know, like our interactions and our sessions actually like counted.
Mhm.
I just was like, this is something she like set as you know, this was her career. This is what she dedicated her time and her education to.
Yeah.
I thought like it was worth reaching out to re like confirm for her that what she did was a good, like she
Yeah.
made the right choice by
Yeah.
pursuing that career because it helped me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Uh, anyways, fucking notes. These are mostly lyrics. I'm not gonna sit here and just read lyrics. They're really
That's
funny.
fine. One of my notes says, "Wait, why did I stop smoking weed again?"
You don't even remember? Like, oh, I forgot to write it down.
Um, Another one says, "Brilliance is never normal." I just wrote that.
Interesting. Brilliance is never. You're like, and this is why I'm weird.
And then I put Pussy McDonald's.
Hmm.
Probably thought that sounded funny. It does.
Pussy McDonald, huh?
Pussy McDonald's.
I have some shit here that says, luckily for me, I've been very unlucky.
I put Fat Elbow.
You're like, that's cool. Here's another one I wrote. All right, let's do it past the notes. Because you're gonna start reading all your notes.
I know.
You're like, I'm so embarrassed.
I get entertained.
Yeah, that
I'm
sounds so
so
embarrassed right
embarrassed by
now.
all my notes. Here you go.
Here's more.
Here's more. I'm so
Here's the
deep.
musings of my
No, I
highest
have
brain.
really cringe shit in here. I'm just not reading the worst of it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Um, I can
I
imagine.
can imagine.
So, anyways, we can talk about something that we mentioned earlier
What's
about,
that?
huh?
What's that?
Let me finish
What's that?
talking.
What's that?
Okay, so I was reading an article.
Mm-hmm.
Remember I told you about earlier, and it has to do with children that don't ask for help
Ooh.
and how the researcher did this research on low class,
Low
I mean
class?
low,
Damn.
working class children and middle class children and
The children from working class
low
families. You're
class.
like, these kids are working class. They're working and.
Well, no, that's how it was just like
Oh,
defined,
really?
as working class student and middle class student,
Okay.
and those were defined in the ways they're like that I told you earlier about, like
Yeah.
the parents either not pursuing any college after high school, um, or their income levels, like that kind of helped to define what a working class student is and what a middle class student is, and how she found that middle class students were more entitled and proactive when they need help,
Yeah.
and they're quick to ask help, and they feel entitled to run up to the teacher and just burst out and ask their questions, versus a working class student who's she said that she noticed they're more patient,
Mm-hmm.
they're less proactive, sometimes they don't even get their assignments done,
Yeah.
um, and how they feel less of an entitlement in the classroom.
And I think it's important to distinguish that the entitlement that they're talking about in this article is not the type of entitlement people usually think of when they
Right.
hear it. Not like
No, it's just feeling a sense of belonging,
in
is
like
that it
ownership,
is
right?
is how the word entitlement is used in this article.
Yeah, like they
and
realize
and
like
like the middle class students feel that they belong in that classroom,
yeah,
so they feel they can just ask the teacher when they need help,
yeah.
and versus a working class student, I don't necessarily want to like put that on all of them as saying that they don't feel like they belong, but that's what the word entitlement is used in this case. Like that's how it's
Interesting.
used.
I don't
Um
know if I agree about the belonging part. I don't know if it
well,
has
that's
more
why
to
I
do with
said like I don't want to just like say that
yeah,
all of them feel that
the
way, but
belonging.
that's how it's like kind of used in this context. It's not used as like, oh, I'm better than you, or
No, yeah,
like,
of course not. I get what you're saying. I the way I'm processing it is like and based on my own personal experiences and what I've observed in my lifetime, it's like the kids who have resources and who have like educated parents
right,
typically not only are being told to not only value their education, but they're also told to value themselves probably, and they're
right,
probably also told to
and to
value
speak up for
their time,
themselves.
and
Yeah.
they're probably also told that they can ask for help
Yes.
and help. I think the more you accomplish as an adult
Mm.
after a certain point, especially if you have children, you're probably like oh, you if you're like a down to earth person and you're very like self aware, you probably realize at some point you didn't do it all just alone. You
Right.
probably had to ask someone to give you an
Right.
opportunity
Right.
or explain something at some point. And like the less achievements you've had and the more you've just like try to do things on your own, you're probably meeting a lot of resistance.
Right.
And those
It's
are
a
like,
lot more work.
yeah, a lot more work. And like we both came from working class families, and so I know like I didn't grow up seeing like my parents ask for help all the
Yeah.
time, or even telling me to ask for help, or letting me know that I could. I
Right.
was kind of told like, oh, you can figure it out. Basically, like you have to figure it out. It's on you, and it's that. And so I didn't really feel like comfortable, and I also felt kind of prideful about asking for help, and like
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I don't know. I didn't feel like I was allowed to ask for help or like I needed it.
Right.
I thought like I just had to figure it out.
Yeah, you're right when you mention that sense of pride. That's also possibly, and there's all obviously many factors to like a child's like their stratification of like how they can succeed in their
Yeah,
school career and then in the future in their career. Um and I think like pride or culture, because I think pride in our culture especially is a
yeah,
it's a huge factor in a lot of things.
yeah. Mexican culture, especially.
Um, so I think that's good or important that you mentioned the pride thing, because it plays into a lot of like why we figure out or have to we feel we have to figure out things on our own and like do things on our own.
Yeah, like my parents didn't go to college, so I don't think they understood how much work and how much help you need to actually make that happen.
Right.
And I don't think because it, I don't think they, I don't think that because they didn't have any experience with that, that they understood that you require help to get certain things done or learn
Right.
certain concepts. And um, I think a big part of what you were saying when we were talking earlier, we were discussing how like if you come from working class background like us, like our parents were not home until like fucking late,
Hmm.
and we were being raised by our grandparents, right? And
Right.
our grandmas primarily.
Yeah.
So you see like, oh, not only like in the home and what you're being taught, but also like in your day to day, like in terms of resources, like you don't have a parent to ask to explain something to you or to teach something to you because they're tired from work.
Right.
They like barely have time to like feed you and like spend some time with you. And so like the idea and like practice of like, oh, having a parent that's immediately there and accessible to ask to explain something to you or to teach you is is like the chances of that happening are a lot lower than someone that comes from a middle class
College
or a
background.
college background, right? Where like not only are they more likely to explain certain concepts and try to practice these things with their kids,
Right.
but they're also more likely to have more access in terms of time to their
That's
kids.
true. And it's funny because I do remember doing like math problems or working on homework at home, and like sometimes yeah, like my parents couldn't help me.
You're like,
they
who do I
they
ask to
didn't
help me with this?
understand like how to do this,
And you're
and
like, I'm not
like
gonna do it then.
yeah.
That's how I
No,
was.
well, I would still try to do it. I would always submit my homework. I was always like that person.
Yeah.
Like I didn't maybe do the best on my test, but
Hmm.
I always submitted my homework.
Hmm.
Um and so like yeah, I just struggled a lot, and I didn't feel like I could ask for help. I was scared to ask for help. I'm still scared to ask for help, and that's
Yeah.
one of the habits that like I've carried with me throughout my life. And I think it's like, made me waste a lot more time than I needed to. And that's why I always say like this annoying thing that I do a lot of things by myself, and I acknowledge that it's probably some of my fault, because
Yeah.
I just maybe there's that sense of pride, but there's also this sense of like I don't feel like people want to help me either. And
Yeah.
I don't know who to ask for help. And the times that I have, I do get shot down, and so it makes me feel like okay,
Like it reaffirms what
yeah, like I shouldn't be asking for help.
what your insecurity was, right?
Exactly.
You're like, well, yeah, no one wants to help me anyways, so
And this person just confirmed it. So
yeah,
I'm not going to ask for help anymore. I'm just going to figure out everything by myself.
yeah.
And I think it's just like it's made my life a lot harder not
Hmm.
feeling like I could ask for help, or not knowing that I could ask for help even.
Yeah.
Um And yeah, so I don't think like I think class is just like one factor
in social class and fun and
into like this sense of like entitlement or sense of like feeling like you could ask for help or you should ask for help.
yeah.
Um, but I thought it was really interesting when I read it because it just like resonated with me like a
Mm-hmm.
lot, especially as a little girl because I was really shy. Um, and I just like I saw like my peers, little boys always like getting up or just asking for help whenever they needed help. And me, I was always the kid that was like raising my hand and like waiting until the teacher saw me. And like that takes forever. And that's something that the researcher points out in this article is how she saw there was students in the working class that would be waiting and raising their hands for long periods of time and the teachers wouldn't see them,
Mm-hmm.
but like the middle class students would just jump up and like yell out a question and then the teacher would help them. So I just like related to that so much.
Yeah. And also, if there's so many factors like we were talking about, like if you come from a working class background, your parents are probably psychologically stressed, financially stressed.
Yeah.
And so not only do you get less time for learning and resources from them, but also you also depending on their own like, you know, emotional intelligence and like capacity for that shit, like you might get like the projection of that frustration and stress. And so then you have kids that are sitting in class and they're stressed and they're frustrated
Right. And they
and they
carry that
yeah,
on with
and
them.
they're
Yeah.
they're occupied thinking of other things aside from the task at hand.
Yeah.
And so you're actively seeing like the children benefiting and then suffering from not only like the financial status of the parents but also their like educational background, like all
Yeah.
these things that make their parents who they are and the people like
Right.
they like fall into the children.
Yeah, it's funny because like a small example of that that I recently overheard. My coworker sometimes takes care of her stepdaughter on the
Yeah,
weekends, and I overheard like her stepdaughter is probably like 7, maybe 8,
yeah.
and I heard her talking to my coworker's daughter, and she was just like, "Oh my God, I'm so stressed out." And
Little
like
girl.
the little girl, and she's like, "You have no idea. I'm just so stressed out." And I'm just like, "Oh my God, like that little girl is
It's a little
probably
kid.
hearing her mom say that,
Yeah, her mom's probably
and
like venting about
she's just like
her dad or
repeating
some
it."
shit.
Yeah.
That's a terrible thing too that parents do. Like they like project that shit onto the kids, like feelings and like their frustrations, or they vent about the other parent to the kid,
Right.
and then you
Yeah.
have this kid that's in the middle, and then there's like, yeah, that shit's
Yeah.
fucking bad and toxic, and that's also what causes like these bad habits to develop that we're talking about, like procrastination and things like
Right.
that, or like these learning disorders. Like I don't like I said, like I don't know if whether we have ADHD or not is yet to be like proven,
Right.
but I know I have bipolar disorder. I know that fucks up on my time management and other shit.
Hmm.
And I know that there's a lot of parallels and overlaps with
Asian.
ADHD.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would definitely say that like what is that? Not self reliance, but like yeah, right. Like confidence and like the ability to rely on yourself is
Right.
very important to teach children.
Right.
Um,
And I think that's like, even mentioning what we were saying earlier is that like at least for me, and you have this too, but like, I'm saying like I rely on myself. I got myself. I buy myself snacks and like I'm like if and that's a stupid example, but when I used to smoke weed, like yeah, I would buy myself snacks and then
yeah,
like I'd get high and then I'd be like, I wish I had snacks and then I
yeah.
did because I relied on myself. And that's the dumb example of this, but
I buy snacks after, so I'm like, I'm
but
gonna go snack
being
now.
self-reliant, relying on yourself and knowing that you're the only one you can really depend on. I think that's an important tool.
It's at the same time though, I kind of don't like that you said that because that totally just like that that's like a bad example because we're talking about asking for help. And you're like, yeah, so you got to remember you just rely on yourself. So you're
Because
saying
I'm used
you're
to that.
reconfirming like you actually still can't ask for help.
No, I'm just used to it, and
Yeah,
that's why like I'm still breaking out of those habits of not asking for help. But it doesn't mean I'm fully there yet. Like I
yeah,
still have anxiety when I have to ask for help. Like it freaks me out,
yeah.
and I hate it. I can't stand it. I wish I could just rely on myself, and I'm used to doing that, but I can't. People have helped me along the way. It's just,
You're just bad at asking and taking it.
yeah.
You're definitely. I've seen you like you're bad at taking help too. Like when you get offered it, like you don't want to like
I don't want to.
you don't
I
want to be
feel,
like, yeah, of course, yeah, I really need it, please. You're like if I offer to help you do something, like if you're doing something for school or something, you like, I'm like, I'll help you do this little part of it or whatever, and you're like, you'll go like non-responsive, like non-verbal, and I'll be like, I have to read like your facial expressions, and you make like a little puppy dog face at me and be like, and I'm like, oh, okay, I know, like she really does want me to help her. She just is like so in her head and like prideful about it. She doesn't want to be like, yes, please, like I desperately need the help,
yeah,
and like I see you do so much shit on your own without asking her help that like I watch you just like you're like suffering like and I'm like I know she just like needs help but she really doesn't want to ask for it and she's not going to take it. So this is like part of and it's part of your value system now. Your
yeah,
self-value.
right. And it's annoying.
Yeah, and like myself as an adult I've learned to ask for more help for sure because as an
Yeah,
adult I've definitely got a lot of opportunities and been like assisted in certain ways by like people that care about me and that love me, like giving me chances to like get certain jobs and do things that like have benefited me and like helped me like survive.
yeah,
And those things came out of like desperation at some point though. I had to realize like, oh, okay, I need to I can't just rely on myself. I actually do need I need help with some stuff.
yeah.
And that's also a whole nother thing is trying to like come to terms with like
When you need help.
when you need help and how to deal with like the fact that sometimes you can't get shit done on your own.
Yeah, I
Or
think for me, like when I see you needing help, I just like help you because I already know what that's like. Like, I already
yeah,
know.
and you watch me get paralyzed. I get
And
like
so I'm just like, I'm just gonna do this and I'll
ah!
fucking help him and
I
we're
get
we're
major
gonna
like
get through
I get like
this.
major paralysis. Like it's crazy.
So like yeah, and even this applies not even just to you, just to anyone I see. Like if I see like they don't deserve like what they're experiencing, I'm gonna fucking help you, and you don't even have to ask.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah,
I already know what that shit is like, and I don't like to see people go through it.
yeah. Ironically, you're very helpful, even though you don't like and have a hard time asking and receiving help. You
Yeah,
are actually a helpful person.
I try to be, but
Um,
I mean, we help each other.
yeah, I can be helpful at times. I have to really be like attentive because usually I'm so like occupied like mentally by stuff that I
Right.
sometimes I fail to notice like when people do need help. But
Yeah.
if I do see it and do notice, I will always try to help or like do what I can. But
Yeah.
you know, it takes a lot of work.
It
It takes a lot of work
does.
to like just to get up every day to
It's a
fucking
lot of
take
energy.
care of yourself, to take care of your like your responsibilities and like being on social media, you see
Hmm.
people kind of just try to make it seem like their life is solid
Perfect.
and
Yeah.
consistent and they're consistent. And then like the person and you like like in real life you're like, what the hell, this person is a fucking mess. Like they're never doing
Yeah.
any of this shit. Why are they
They're
making
broke.
they're broke or they're fucking they don't do anything on their own or like they fucking
It's true.
and you're like, what? Like, why are you making it seem like you have your whole life
Like it's
together?
easy. This shit's
Yeah,
hard. Don't act like it's easy.
that pisses me off
That pisses me
because
off
then
too.
like they're a major procrastinator. They're full of shit. Because like
Yeah.
I know I can procrastinate. I know I can be full of shit. And I know we all can.
Yeah.
And it's just like a matter of embracing what you are and who you want to become, and
And
just
just
like
being like honest and true. And I think that's why it's important for like us to voice this because I think there's just a lot of people that are trying to paint this image like their life is easy, but in reality, nobody's life is fucking
I think
easy.
humility
And
is important.
and some people have it a lot easier than others, but like, you know, just be real.
Yeah, be humble,
Yeah, be
and
humble
be real with yourself and others.
and try not to procrasticate.
Just
All
get
right,
be on time.
so that's the end of it. Bye.